Metal Fatigue, a short story by L. D. Roberts. I would like to dedicate this story to Joey and thank him for his service as a Marine in the Vietnam War. I want to thank him for defending our country. Without him, this story would never have been written. June 18th, 1973. The pale blue prince's phone rings, shrill and demanding. 12-year-old Nancy snatches the receiver out of the cradle. Hi, Dad.
How's my best girl?
I won the spelling bee. The prize was $10.
I'm proud of you.
I was the only one who could spell the word.
Honey, I know I promised you could stay all summer, but...
His words tumble out.
But Karina's having a difficult pregnancy and, well, work is crazy. It's just not a good time for you to come. I promise you I'll come out for Christmas. Nancy, please, say something.
What is there to say? When her parents divorced, she would sit at the curb every Sunday at 10 and wait. Sometimes he was only a few minutes late. Other times, in the afternoon, he would come squealing into the driveway. Honey, I'm so sorry I'm late. There was a hot horse in the third and I won $76. Come on, let's go. I'll buy you an ice cream sundae. She sighs into the phone. Bye, Dad. Her mother reaches for the phone, clicks the button, begins dialing, calling Joe or Sam or Bob. Nancy won't bother to remember this one's name until the day she finds him sitting on the red plaid living room sofa with 2 half-filled highball glasses rimmed with gold filigree, sitting on the oval coffee table. We went to Vegas and got married, her mother will gush, a smile bursting across her face. Nancy knows her lines. Oh, I'm so glad. Another stepfather. They will be a family. Until her mother's attention wanders to the pool boy, or the postman, or whoever. But today, her mother is between husbands. I'm going to Westwood Village, Nancy announces. Her mother waves her hand and continues talking. She counts out $4.25 in quarters, squeezes open the green oval plastic change purse, placing the quarters inside, then walks out the front door into the last bit of morning haze. The clouds will burn off, exposing a film of hazy sunshine. Walking past identical post-war ranch houses, all 3-bedroom, 2-bath, each one painted a slightly different shade of beige. The air carries a hint of the honeysuckle growing wild in the backyard. The 97 bus to Westwood pulls up. She races up the 3 stairs, deposits her quarter, walks carefully past day workers, college students, and housewives. Only one empty seat, all the way in the back. She sits next to an old man wearing a brown fedora, studying the Los Angeles Times sports page. As the bus approaches Westwood Village, the houses grow larger, more expensive. 3 stories, dormered windows, balconies, huge green lawns. More passengers enter the bus. They clutch at metal straps and sway with the bus as it lurches on. Finally, the bus driver opens both doors for the last stop, Westwood Village. Getting out of the bus, she's swarmed by a maze of pedestrians, all hurrying in a mad rush to somewhere else. Westwood Village is a town bursting with first-run movies, restaurants, and vendors. UCLA co-eds full of smiles and false confidence, stern-faced doctors, and frantic mothers chasing toddlers meld together into a blur of bodies and noise. The high-end restaurants are frequented by movie stars who sit in front of huge glass windows, eager to be spotted so they can feign surprise. Huge round spotlights sit idle in front of the village theater. At dusk, circular white beams will begin to crisscross the sky, coaxing theater-goers to the world premiere of The Exorcist. Dodging pedestrians, she finally reaches the headquarters of Voices for a Vital America. Pulling open a heavy glass door, she walks into a narrow office. It's filled with battered desks and eager 20-year-old volunteers, dressed in bell-bottoms and colorful Grateful Dead t-shirts. A woman with long blonde curls and an expensive smile asks, "Can I help you?" I would like to buy a POW bracelet." "Great," she says, reaching under the desk. She pulls up a large cardboard box. "Pick any one you want." Nancy looks at a tangle of steel gray bracelets individually wrapped in cellophane. Opening her change purse, she stacks one quarter on top of the other on the edge of the battered wooden desk. In one quick movement, the blonde swipes the $2.50 off the desk, then hands Nancy a small yellow postcard. "If you fill it out, you will be on our mailing list." Nancy grabs a short yellow pencil like the ones used on golf courses, fills in her name and address. The volunteer points to a tiny box at the bottom of the card. "If you check that box, you promise to wear your bracelet until your soldier returns. And Voices in Vital America promises to keep you up to date on the status of your soldier." Nancy checks the box, hands her the postcard. The names on the bracelets stare up at her. Hal, Marshall, Jared. Each name a father, a brother, a husband. Closing her eyes, she reaches down and picks one. Major Peter Holman, USMC, 11/2/1971. She has picked a Marine, the toughest and the best. She slips off the cellophane and hooks it over her bony wrist. She twirls it, runs her index finger over the black letters, then walks out of the building, buys herself a hot dog and a Coke from a street vendor, sits on the bench at the bus stop. She munches on the greasy dog and the white spongy bun, finishing just as her bus pulls up. She's swollen with pride. This is the first thing she has ever bought with money she earned. She returns to an empty house and a note on the kitchen table. She doesn't bother reading the note. It always says the same. "We'll be out late. Order yourself chicken delight for dinner. 740-3224. As if she doesn't know the phone number by heart. She's been raised on Pop-Tarts, oozing bright plastic-flavored jam, and washing them down with Tang. Tang, the drink of the astronauts who walked on the moon. It tastes like chalk and leaves dry orange flakes around the rim of her glass. Dinner at her cousin Luann's is pot roast and buttered mashed potatoes. The family actually sits at the table and talks about what happened that day. Nancy picks up the phone.
"Chicken delight, what'll you have?"
The usual.
"We'll get that right out to you."
"Thanks." Nancy kicks off her shoes, lays across her bed, her feet dangling over the edge. She centers the bracelet until Peter's name is facing her. "Hi, Peter. I'm Nancy. I picked you out of a box with lots of bracelets. I think you were meant to be with me till you come home. So, Lee Sampson pitched for the Dodgers last night. He has no curveball and he's too fat for a pitcher. Jenny and Marie, they say they're my friends, but they're at Sue Jensen's slumber party tonight, and they didn't invite me. Again. I wonder if I will ever grow boobs. Lacey Morgan's boobs are huge." She blushes, embarrassed she said boobs out loud to Peter. "My mother has another new boyfriend. I hope she doesn't marry him. He's a jerk. The president says you'll all be coming home next year. Do you like baseball? I don't know where you're from. If I did, I would keep you up to date on your team. I love to read. Do you?" And from that day on, no matter how tired she is, Peter gets an update on her day after day, year after year. "I was elected class president. Nobody asked me to the prom. Mom got married again. I got a full scholarship to UCLA. From April through October, Vin Scully's voice, low and steady, hovers in the background. One ball, one strike, the only constant in her chaotic world. High school graduation night, June 1978. Nancy places her hand lightly on the doorknob, silently praying her mother is asleep. She's a bit breathless and buzzed. It's past 3 a.m. Opening the door, she sees her mother sitting on the edge of the sofa, thin legs curled beneath her. The round stone ashtray on the coffee table overflows with butts. One red manicured fingernail taps lightly against the edge of her highball glass. Nice of you to bother coming home. Her bottle blonde hair is mashed against the sides of her face. Bright pink lipstick makes her skin look sallow. I've been thinking. Sam moving out is your fault. Why couldn't you call him daddy like he wanted? Why couldn't you do just one thing for me? It's not like your real father pays any attention to you. She purses her lips, accentuating the wrinkles around her mouth. Nancy looks at this woman, and for the first time she doesn't see her mother. She sees a middle-aged woman reeking of scotch and despair, and she feels a shift, a reckoning. No. Sam left because he caught you screwing Bob. Her mother throws a highball glass against the wall. It explodes into sharp pieces. The amber scotch drips painfully down the wall, leaving a mottled stain. She runs to her room, grabs her overnight bag, fills it with shoes and clothes. She presses it down. The zipper teeth don't meet. She removes 3 pairs of jeans, puts on her blue sweater to make room for her books. You ready to go, Peter? It's just you and me. She zips the bag, walks into the living room. Her mother eyes the overnight bag. You always were a spoiled and ungrateful brat. Nancy walks through the front door, stands on the porch in the chill. Turning left, she walks down the block, towards the faint hint of dawn, as her mother's voice fades behind her. October 19th, 1989. Nancy smooths invisible wrinkles from her dress, reapplies her lipstick, and bravely opens the bedroom door. The light blue silk and V-neck of her dress flatter her small frame. Alan nods in approval. You look perfect. Don't be nervous. My boss is a great guy. But she is nervous. Each time he arrives on time for a date, it gets easier to trust him. There is a pleasant symmetry to their relationship. He is predictable and calm. For the first time, she has allowed herself to fall in love. They drive in silence to the restaurant. In one deft movement, Alan pulls the Camaro up to the curb, tosses the keys to the valet. As Nancy gets out, he places a hand on the small of her back and gently guides her into the restaurant. It is a large room, dimly lit with round tables and starched white tablecloths. The room smells of thick steaks and 25-year-old scotch. Before her eyes can adjust, a middle-aged anorexic blonde steps forward, thrusting out her hand. Damon's wife, Cheryl, I've heard a lot about you. As Nancy reaches out to shake her hand, her POW bracelet slides down her forearm. Thick bands of solder barely hold it together. The maitre d' announces, Your table is ready. He leads them to a sequestered round booth. Damon looks at Alan. I finally get to meet your Nancy. His oval eyes linger on her breasts as he gestures for her to slide into the booth. They settle around the table. The waiter arrives with 4 frothy drinks on a silver tray. Damon explains, I took the liberty of ordering drinks. I'm sure you will love this new drink. He says in a tone of a man used to getting his way. Damon and Alan begin discussing the Florida project. She takes a sip of the cherry-colored drink and slams her lips shut, praying she doesn't gag. It tastes like cough medicine and prune juice covered in a thick layer of cream. Excusing herself, she heads to the ladies' room, leans over the sink, and spits out the gross concoction, watching as it flows down the sink. She goes into a stall, locks the door, puts down the seat, places her head in her hands. It's only one night, she tells herself. But it is not one night. It's an audition. An audition for the role of Alan's wife. Nancy? Cheryl's voice echoes off the creamy marble walls. Nancy stands, opens the stall door, and watches Cheryl swiping translucent powder across her cheeks. As Nancy reaches for the soap dispenser, her bracelet brushes against the marble counter, making a tinny scratching sound. What is? Cheryl points. My POW bracelet. Your brother? Cheryl asks. No relation. Cheryl reaches out, takes Nancy's forearm to look at the bracelet, looks over the faded letters, the missing triangle of metal on the left edge. Cheryl pats the back of Nancy's hand. Nancy, it's important you understand. Alan is a rising star at Ameritech. As his wife, you too will represent our company. I admire your dedication to our armed forces. I really do. But it's time you thought about taking your bracelet off. Turning to the mirror, Cheryl begins lining her lips with a pointed lip liner. Replace it with something more appropriate, she says, like a mother trying to be patient with a toddler refusing to nap. Cheryl pulls a small ivory business card from her purse. It reads, Madeline Horner, 7520734. It's my personal jeweler. You call her. I'm very confident Alan will buy you anything you want. Nancy blinks, startled, as if she's been slapped. In her mind, she can see Alan and Cheryl, heads bent together, whispering about her over martinis at the club. In the mirror, Cheryl's image has been replaced by a wicked queen wearing a black hood, emerald eyes shining against pale, white, creamy skin. In her outstretched palm is a half-carat diamond ring, sparkling like blue ice. In the diamond ring, she sees her future filled with office parties, retreats, golf tournaments. It will take the patience of Job to deal with half-drunk executives pinching her ass, then laughing. Alan watching from across the room, shrugging his shoulders, wearing a what-can-you-do expression. As Cheryl hands the business card to her, the wicked witch in the mirror fades away. Thank you, Nancy says, shoving the card into her purse. They walk through the crowded restaurant. As Nancy reaches her chair, Damon gestures to her glass. You haven't touched your drink. His thick brows furrow with displeasure. She takes another tiny sip, forces it down, looks at Damon and smiles. He nods, approvingly. Glasses clink. Steaks are cut. Creamy desserts are eaten with dainty spoons. And finally, the evening comes to an end. Driving home, Alan says, Thanks for tonight. I know it wasn't easy. Damon is not a bad guy. He's a bit old-fashioned. Old-fashioned. Nancy rolls the phrase over in her mind. Such a polite euphemism for misogynistic jerk. What did Cheryl want to talk to you about? You know exactly what she wanted to talk about. He shrugs, sheepishly. I didn't know how to bring it up. It's admirable you wore your bracelet so long. It's one of the things I love about you, but you are not in the military, and you do not know this man. I promised. And just who exactly did you promise? Some woman volunteer who doesn't remember you? Do you think she's still wearing her bracelet? He takes a hand off the steering wheel and points at her wrist. And you certainly did not promise him. Looking at Alan's profile in the dim light, she recalls lazy afternoons talking for hours, while he runs his fingers along her forearm, her body tingling with pleasure. What's his name? You complain I talk about him all the time. What is his name? Gripping the steering wheel, Alan's knuckles go white. He squirms. His name is... You don't remember his name. His name is not important. What is important is I love you and I was going to propose tonight. She can't help but wonder, did Cheryl help him pick out her ring? He pulls up to her apartment, parks, reaches over her knees to unlatch the glove compartment, pulls out a box covered in black velvet. She opens the door to a flutter of Santa Ana wind, warm, yet ominous. She walks around the car to the driver's side, points to her bracelet. Alan rolls down the window. His name is Peter Holman. And he is not a soldier. He is a Marine. Alan Jensen is a coward, masquerading as a man. Love must be blind. That's why it took her so long to see it. February 1994, Long Island, New York. Pregnant clouds hang in the air as Nancy walks home from the public library. She loves the library, the immensity of it, the silence. The move to New York has been difficult. New Yorkers speak a language she can't decipher, and everyone is always rushing. The quiet of the library is a refuge. She shivers in her light white sweater. At the end of the block, a wooden sign announces the Shady Rest Bar. She turns onto a stone walkway worn smooth by 1,000 footsteps. The bar is an old Victorian house. The wooden door has a stained glass window, all purples and blues. A wide front porch is filled with worn wooden rocking chairs. She grabs the heavy door, pulls hard, and is greeted by a gush of warm air. The wooden floor is covered by a faded antique rug. A polished wooden bar guards a wall of military patches. Marines, seamen, airmen, soldiers. Decades of American bravery, sacrifice, and commitment, proudly on display. A 12 by 12 empty square waits for music and dancers. At the far end of the room, 6 men enjoy a boisterous poker game. I'm Artie, says the man behind the bar. Tattoos cover his thick forearms. His shoulder-length hair is beginning to gray. His green eyes are heavy with fatigue. His full lips are accustomed to protecting secrets. I'm Nancy, she says as a bolt of thunder crashes outside. An antique jukebox full of bright colors and flashing lights begins playing a mournful song by Journey. 1984 called. They want their song back, she says. He smiles at her. If I owned the bar, the jukebox would play Mark Knopfler 24/7, 365. But you don't own the bar and I do. What can I get you? She shrugs. I don't drink much. What do you suggest? Rain begins pounding on the roof. I got you covered. He turns to the bar and with the fluid movements of a dancer, shoots several different liquids into a metal canister. He shakes it and pours a creamy mocha liquid over ice. He places the glass in front of her on top of a red paper napkin. She takes a sip. Milky and sweet at first, chased by a sharp kick of vodka. Tell me about your tough week. You wouldn't believe it if I told you. Try me. I own a veterans bar. It would be a miracle if you could tell me a story I haven't already heard. Okay. I'm a vice president of Holdtech. We manufacture storage units. Last year we began selling chicken coops. The company finances the chicken coops. I spent all week meeting with lawyers, learning the legal procedures necessary to foreclose on a chicken coop. Artie throws his head back. He is the rare man who has lived through horrors and not lost his capacity to laugh. It is a hearty laugh, from a man who still enjoys life's small pleasures. I have heard stories about tunnel rats, bombings, affairs, stripper wives, but I have never heard a story about foreclosing on a chicken coop. You win today's Stump the Owner contest. Next drink is on the house. She shakes her head. Don't drink much. Can't handle 2 in one day. You'll have to come back, he smiles. She nods. He turns, punches a button on the antique filigreed cash register, pulls out 2 quarters, opens her palm, drops the quarters in. Go push G19. She walks to the jukebox, drops in the quarters. Her eyes linger over the buttons until she finds G. She pushes it, finds 19, pushes, then turns back, looks at Artie. He holds up an index finger. Wait for it. As she reaches the bar stool, Mark Knopfler's voice, all velvet and wisdom, begins. You can still get gas in heaven and drink to kingdom come. In the meantime, I'm cleaning my gun. She raises her glass. Mark Knopfler, the only man who never let me down. Artie begins making a drink for another customer. She opens the new Michael Connolly. The rain is soothing, the book inviting, the drink relaxing. Settling in for the afternoon, she thinks maybe New York isn't so bad. Veterans Day, November 11th, 1994. The shady rest overflows with American flags. Smiling patrons fill the bar to bursting. Nancy walks in, shaking off the cold. Artie catches her eye, points to an empty bar stool. He sets down her black Russian before she reaches the stool. Good to see you, he says as a booming voice from the back of the bar yells. Peter Holman! I was afraid you wouldn't make it. It's great to see you, buddy. Time stops as Nancy tumbles into a space she's never been before. Peter Holman is alive? Here? In the shady rest? Her body clenches into hard, tight knots. Artie asks, You look like you are going to be sick. Are you okay? She puts her elbow on the bar, pushes down the sleeve of her sweater, points to her bracelet, then at Peter Holman. Artie looks at her puzzled. He stares at her POW bracelet, his mind struggling to make the pieces fit. You wear his POW bracelet? Since I was 12. Her face is bloodless, pupils completely dilated, eyes unable to focus. Thoughts ricochet around her head, unable to find a coherent thought. He came home, and Voices of America never told you. She nods. Artie stares at Nancy. For the first time, he sees her mousy brown hair, her blue eyes a bit too close together. He could pass her on the street every day for years and never give her a second glance. Yet here she is, an angel, sitting right here in his bar, wearing the look he has seen too often. It's the look he sees in Morris Nadler's eyes when he comes to open the bar and finds Morris stiff and frozen from sitting all night in the rocking chair on the porch. Vacant, dead eyes staring into the trees, terrified of the silence in his apartment. Nancy's eyes are glassy, vacant, dulled by humanity's casual cruelty. Artie sighs, walks around the end of the bar, threads through the crowd to a short, pudgy man with curly red hair, green eyes, and freckles. He taps Peter lightly on the shoulder, leans over, whispers in his ear, points at Nancy. Peter listens, looks around the bar, raises his beer toward Artie. It's some kind of joke, right? Artie shakes his head. Nancy sits frozen, hands trembling. Peter gazes at the back of a small woman who has thought of him for decades. Forcing his feet to move, he slides up behind her, softly taps her on the shoulder. She turns. She blinks, over and over, as if he is a mirage that refuses to come into focus. There he stands, Peter Holman in the flesh. Her vision is fuzzy, her mind chafing against this new reality. Peter thrusts out his hand. She shakes it, feels calluses inside his palm, wonders if he works with his hands. I'm Peter Holman. It is an honor to meet you, Nancy. Her left hand moves to her right wrist. Without her consent, her left hand slips the thin metal band over her wrist, down her fingers. The black ink has faded. The back of the R in Peter and the left side of the A in Holman are all that stubbornly remain. Tenderly, Peter takes the bracelet from her fingers. He has been home since 1974, married, fathered 2 children. He swallows hard and says, I wish that I had the words to tell you what your commitment means to me. He takes a step back, stands at attention, places the top of his finger against his forehead, saluting her. He offers the bracelet to Artie, then turns and walks back towards his buddies. Sits at the table, dumbstruck. Artie reaches for the hammer beneath the bar, remembering Quezon. His 3rd Marine Regiment held back the enemy for 7 months, each day an eternity, but he and his men endured. He drives a nail into the wall a half inch above his own patch, gently lays the bracelet over the nail. Nancy belongs on this wall, next to him and his men. Nancy sips her drink and automatically reaches over to straighten her bracelet, like an ancient monk reaching for the rosary hanging from his robe. Her pale, naked wrist tingles like a phantom limb. The foundation of her life is crumbled. She stands in the rubble, sifting through ashes. Artie walks around the bar, wraps both arms around her. She leans into his massive chest and exhales, allowing her taut muscles to soften. She rests against him, wondering if she is shattered beyond repair, when Artie whispers, Welcome home. If you enjoyed listening to my story, please hit like and subscribe and leave a comment so my team and I can continue to record these stories for your enjoyment.